Greetings and welcome to this episode of the Conscious Business Coffee Break, where we take a few moments to explore what's happening in the conscious business movement, expand awareness, and encourage your efforts in conscious business. I'm Stephen Donaco of the Conscious Business Enterprise, a division of Humanities team, and on today's program, conscious business begins with conscious consumers. So I want to start with a question. And that question is there such a thing as conscious consumption? Because consumption itself is extractive. Like if we're consuming products, if we're consuming things, we are extracting resources from somewhere. And in the bottom line, it's from the earth. Now, however, to live on earth, we need to be supported by resources on earth. So when we talk about consumption in a business context, in a commercial context, we're talking about much more than just our basic needs for, food and shelter. So consumption in this commercial environment means there's a greater degree of extraction happening. And we've been told that we have the power to vote with our dollars, right? So if we don't agree with the way a company is doing business, if we feel that a certain company is extracting to the detriment of the earth and society, that we just don't support that business with our dollars, and we can find other businesses that are conscious, more conscious, that are doing business with benevolence, and support them instead. So we can purchase products like food, we can purchase clothing, transportation, our cars and other vehicles, or choose not even to use cars and use public transportation if we're in an area that supports that. So we've heard that idea before. We have the power to vote with our dollars, and there's all these things we can do to be conscious consumers. So as I was just browsing for some articles to support today's episode, I came across something that was really interesting and something that's provoked my thinking in a little bit different way, and I think it might provoke yours too. And it's from an online magazine called Quartz. This was an article published in March 2017, and it's titled "Conscious Consumerism is a Lie. Here's a Better Way to Help Save the World." So basically, the article's contention is that conscious consumerism is well-intentioned, but it's rather ineffective. And one of the quotes from the article, just as an example of its premise, is it says globally we're projected to spend $9.32 billion in 2017 on green cleaning products. If we had directed even a third of that pot of money, and a third is the typical markup on green cleaning products, if we directed a third of that money towards lobbying our governments to ban the toxic chemicals we're so afraid of, we might have made a lot more progress by now. So basically, the article is saying that we can optimize the flow of our money from consumption towards activism in order to optimize our power as citizens. So this is what this article is about, is that we are more powerful as citizens when we are mindfully directing our money towards activism versus consumerism. So a couple of examples that it gives is that instead of buying organic sheets, donate that money to organizations that are fighting to keep agricultural runoff out of our rivers. Instead of driving to an organic apple orchard to pick your own fruit, use that time to volunteer for an organization that combats food deserts. Instead of buying an expensive air purifier, donate to politicians who support policies that keep our air and water clean. And instead of taking yourself out to dinner at a farm-to-table restaurant, you could take an interest in the Farm Bill and how it incentivizes unhealthy eating. And the Farm Bill is a U.S. Legislation, so that's U.S.-centric. But the point is that we can be directing our money towards activism over consumerism and be much more powerful as citizens. So, personally, I look at all of this in the context of conscious business and what we do in Humanities team to awaken the world to oneness. And so personally, I consider the power of both these things, right? So it's not, so the article almost takes a little bit of an either or approach. It's saying that, you know, activism is the way to go and consumerism isn't. Now, it doesn't completely say that, but that's sort of the theme you get when you read it. And it's belittling the consumerism, the conscious consumerism over the activism. So I look at this as the power of both those things. It's conscious activism plus conscious consumerism, because both these things will ultimately expand consciousness, our consciousness of human impact on the earth and society. So, and as such, and this consciousness, this expanded consciousness that we do through both our activism and our consumerism will help us become more conscious business people as well. So think about the business that you're in, you know, whether you're the business owner, whether you're an employee or a stockholder or a shareholder or a vendor, you know, think about the business that you're in. And particularly if you're an employee. So I personally come from a really long experience working for other companies, big companies, kind of the typical corporate America experience. And if you're in that kind of job, think about whether you truly believe in the product and service that your company is developing and selling, you know, from a conscious business perspective. And do you really believe in what you're providing, what your company is providing? And would you buy it yourself? So this is interesting because I've worked for businesses where my peers would be absolutely against purchasing the product that our company created. And it's sort of insane because then my question to them would be, well, why are you working here if you don't believe in it? Now, the reality, some people will tell you the reality of that situation is, well, I need a job and this place offered me a job, so here I am. And granted, a lot of people are working under that kind of mindset and that particular reality. However, as we challenge ourselves to be increasingly conscious in business, and if we're conscious business professionals and if we're conscious consumers, you know, I really invite you to think about the company that either you own, that you work for, that you support, that you have an ownership stake in as a shareholder, or that you're a vendor for, and think about, well, why would I work for this company, or why would I buy its product, or why would I buy its service, and do I want to, and do I believe in it? And you can use that as your compass of sorts. And if you're doubting whether you can support it, you know, that's kind of a wake-up call, and that causes you to think more deeply about, well, why am I here? And can I show up better somewhere else? And a lot of people who particularly have gone through our conscious business change agent training and certification program have in some way or other have woken up to a different reality and want to co-create a different reality by working for, creating, or supporting companies that are operating in the world consciously. So I leave you with that to think about for the remainder of this week. And I'll put a link to the Quartz article in the comments to the video so you can take a look at that when you have a chance. And in the meantime, I'm grateful for everyone who tuned in today. Thank you for joining me. I'm deeply appreciative of your presence. And we'll see you again on Friday at 9 a.m. U.S. Central Time for another edition of the Conscious Business Coffee Break. Have a good day, everyone.